Hey everybody, this is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger. I think that I am live right now. Getting started here, looking over here. I don't know what's going on. I'm pretty sure I'm live. If you are online with me, then do me a favor. Come in and jump into the comments. We had a bunch of people that have signed up to watch this. And the ostensibly the title, I think, of this was Uncopyable Sales Secrets and Stealing Genius. So I know that the vast majority of you are on here because you are waiting. You are waiting with, like the cat who ate the cheese and sat outside the mouse hole with bated breath. You're waiting for my smoking hot wife, Kay Miller, who is the author of the new book. I'm going to hold it up right here. Uncopyable Sales Secrets. Let's see if I can do that without getting the light on it. Oh, you know what? There's an extra light on here. I need to turn this off. Otherwise, we're going to get a shadow from my microphone. It's a fake microphone. It doesn't really work. And her book, Uncopyable Sales Secrets, which came out on May 17th, basically 2 weeks ago. It's doing really, really well. And our plan was we were going to talk about that. And oddly enough, my book, Stealing Genius, really weird, came out on the exact same day, May 17th, Stealing Genius. And we were going to talk about these. And actually today, the plan was that I was going to be talking with Kay about her book primarily, and really let her have the front and center stage, the limelight, the big Klieg lights, whatever, shining on her, spotlights and stuff. And she got sick. So she got sick. She actually got sick yesterday and was really not feeling well. And we were kind of hoping that she would wake up this morning and feel better. She didn't. Just to be safe, we had her take a COVID test, and it came out negative. So there you go. It's she's and I told her, she really was not feeling well. And I said, look, you know what? We'll do you next week. Okay. And this week, you guys just have to put up with me. Now, is anybody here? I think there are some people here. And if you are, because I'm kind of looking over at my desktop to see what's going on. It's I don't know, those of you that know that when you do like LinkedIn Live, even other programs that you might use for webinars and stuff, there's always a little drag, a little delay between when I talk to you and when you see me. And so if you put any kind of post on there, which nobody's put any posts on it yet, because I should see them here too. So again, I'm going to remind you, if you're on, say hello. Okay, say hello to everybody. Tell us where you are and what's going on in your world. And so here's the deal. All right, I know you wanted to hear all about Kay's. This is a great new book on sales. Now, I'm going to tell you, is this advanced selling? No, it's not advanced sales. Because quite frankly, I'm not really sure there is such a thing. Now, certainly there's stuff like high-tech sales, or sales, where you have to have a high knowledge of the product, and the industry that you're in. I mean, if you're medical, surgery, that type of stuff, you have to have a high knowledge of that stuff. Okay. But sales, just like marketing, okay, it's still pretty much the same as it always has been, in that it is human to human. Let's start that right now. That there's a rule in my world. Hello, Greg. Good to see you, man. You and I haven't talked in a while. We need to actually get on the horn and have a conversation, okay? Because and for the rest of you, if you don't know Greg, you really should be following him on LinkedIn as well. And I want to get Greg on as a guest. I interviewed Greg last year for another client, and I want to bring him on to talk too. And Chris Kaiser, always. Okay. Hello from Chi-Town, Chicago. Bob, nice to see you. Wisconsin. Okay. So basically what we're doing here is we're doing nothing but Midwest people. Okay. So you guys don't have anything else to do. So as I was saying, that many years ago, when I was attending my very, very first National Speakers Association convention back in, like, I'm going to say it was 1996, I believe it was, 1995. Hey, Sarah, Davin, great to see you guys. And Matt, oh, this is great. This is like old friends week. This is great. Great to see you guys. And Brian, when I was attending my very, very first National Speakers Association convention, and it was being held in Nashville, Tennessee at the Opryland Hotel. I was checking in. I was brand new in the speaking world. I'd given a few speeches out there. None of the speeches that I'd given at that time, none of the checks that were paid to me had commas in them or anything like that. I was brand new at everything. And Toronto is not in the Midwest. Well, I'm in Seattle. Jeff. So Toronto to us is in the Midwest. Okay. And so is Savannah. And Aaron, you're going to love one of the stories I'm going to share today. So I'm standing at the desk of the Opryland Hotel registering, and I turn, and standing to the right of me is Brian Tracy, who, for those of you who know, he's a legend in leadership, in growing businesses and things like that. And we're talking a long time ago, but he was a legend at that time. And I bought everything he sold at that time. So, and I turned to him, I go, "Oh my gosh, Brian Tracy." And I said, "I am a customer of yours, a fan of yours, and very pleased to meet you, and honored to meet you." And I said to him, "Hey, if you have 5 minutes during the convention that I could sit down and," yes, we are, Jeff. "And if I could sit down and ask you a question or two, would that be okay with you?" And he said, "Hey, why don't we just do it right now? We'll finish registering and we'll just go sit down." I said, "Man, that's amazing. That's awesome." Right. So we went over and we sat down. 2 hours later, he finally said, "I really got to get going." And I said, "Well, this is unbelievable. This is incredible. I really appreciate you spending the time with me and stuff." Became kind of friends, gave me some amazing family advice later on when Kay got pregnant, and that changed the path of our business and everything like that. But one of the things that Brian said to me, and by the way, he introduced me to everybody who was anybody at NSA. So it made a huge difference in my career. But we were talking, and I said, "So what do you think is the one thing that every person, every business needs to know that is that they probably do know, but they just don't pay any attention to, or they don't follow, or something like that?" And he said, "The most successful people in the world, the most successful businesses in the world are brilliant at the basics." Brilliant at the basics. And if you've ever heard stories about Vince Lombardi when he was alive and coaching the Green Bay Packers, he would start every season, and the first day of practice, the very, very first thing he would do with the people is he would stand with his team, is he would stand up in front and he would hold a football and he would say, "Gentlemen, this is a football." And he completely believed in the brilliant at the basics philosophy as well. And I do too. So it's really unusual to find any kind of book or content material, video, webinar, or anything like that, where they're really teaching. If they're teaching you something that you've never heard before, well, it just means you've never heard it before. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's new. Okay. It just means you've never heard it before. So like with Kay, the title of her book is Uncopyable Sales Secrets. Okay. And what that means is there are things in here that you may not know. And in fact, I would be willing to bet there are some things in here from a sales perspective that you do not know. Like, for example, I'm just going to give you a quick example of, not the specifics, but like how to get in the door, how to get an appointment with somebody who's really, really difficult to get an appointment with. It's actually, I'm not going to say it's easy, but I'm going to say it's easier than you think it is. And Kay shares some really good examples of how to do it in this book. And one of them just, when she did it, it just blew me away. It completely blew me away when she did it. And I will just leave it at that, because next time, come back, please. Don't leave me yet. All right. Because I'm going to be talking about stealing genius. I'm going to be talking about how it can help you, how you can get ideas out of it. And I'm going to be sharing some specific examples of what I'm talking about from my book, Stealing Genius. Now, those of you, and I think most of the people whose names I'm seeing right now, most of you, I believe, have read my book, Uncopyable, which came out in 2000. And the hardback came out in 2017. The updated version came out in 2020. And when it came out in 2020 as a paperback updated version, doggone it, if it didn't go on to be an Amazon number one bestseller. And just to, just tell a little side thing on that little pirouette. Okay. I hate the word pivot. If Sam Silverstein is on here, I don't know. I didn't see if he was on here or not, but the author of the book Pivot, I just hate that word pivot. It's just overused. Okay. So I use the word pirouette. Just to take a little quick pirouette here, is that, and I don't even remember what I was going to talk about. Uncopyable. Made it number one. Oh, well, it's okay. I'm too old. I should be retired. Most people are telling me I should be retired. When that comes back to me, I'll remember that story. But let's get going into some of this stuff that I think that I really think can help you a lot. But Stealing Genius actually was a chapter, I believe it was chapter 4 in my book, Uncopyable. Now, what's the story behind Uncopyable? Why is this important? Well, let's start with something here. I'm a huge follower of really smart people. Really, really smart people. Number of you people on here, I've had conversations with you. I've had interviews with you, and you guys have taught me a lot, and I appreciate that a lot. One of my top guru guys that I followed was Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker was basically the godfather of management theory and stuff like that. Tremendously smart guy. And he kept business down to a very, very basic, brilliant at the basic stuff. Okay. So like he said, for example, he said, the purpose of the business is to create a customer. Now that was his definition. Now I expanded a little bit by saying the purpose of business is to create and keep a customer. Okay. Which I think is pretty much, I think he meant that. Where's my cursor? I just want to make sure that everybody's, the comments are coming in here, and feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions. I will do my best to follow you guys and answer them. He said the purpose of business is to create a customer, and he said, and because the purpose of business is to create a customer, there are 2 and only 2 functions of business. Function number 1 is marketing. Function number 2 is innovation. Everything else, according to Drucker, was there to support those 2 functions. What do we mean by marketing and innovation? Let's think about what he was talking about. Okay, well, marketing is creating a customer. Marketing is it's actually more than creating a customer. It's communicating with your target market. We call them the moose. You guys know that. You guys who follow us know that we call them the moose. That you're a hunter in the forest, and you are only hunting moose. You're not hunting every animal in the forest. And any company that goes out and just starts scatter shooting their marketing plans, saying that everybody is a target, well, don't quit your day job. Okay. So marketing is to communicate with your very specific target market. That's the communication with them. And it could be both current customers. When you're communicating with them, you're marketing because you want them to stay a customer and keep customers for life. Okay. If they are not a customer, then they might be a prospect, which is a moose. Okay. A lead is not a prospect. Okay, understand that. A prospect is somebody who fits the profile of your target market. So they're a moose. Okay, a lead is a hungry moose, or in other words, a moose who has raised their hoof. Whoops, got to get it out of the in the camera. Has raised their hoof and has said, "I'm interested in talking to you." Okay, so marketing is communication and helping to create that customer. Innovation is what separates you from the competition, because people do not buy from you because you are similar to the competition. We all know that. All right, we all know that. And if we look at it in the terms of that as we are selling a product or a service to our customer base or to the target market that we're aiming for, well, essentially, we've got a product or a service, okay, and they expect that to be high quality. They expect it to meet the minimum viable standards of the marketplace that they're in, all right, and that's all well and good. Unfortunately, in today's world, technology is commoditizing everything. It's really, really easy to copy the competition, which means it's really, really easy for the competition to copy you because of technology. And so we have to look for ways to separate ourselves from the crowd. Okay. The second part would be customer service, which is what most companies today are now. They are now really laying on top of customer service. They're saying, you know what? We have the best customer service on the planet. Guess what? Everybody says that. Go check out your competition. They all say they have the best customer service on the planet. All right. So we've got products that are more and more becoming commodities. We have companies out there who are basically saying, no, we're the best because we have the best customer service. Okay. Yeah. Well, to the customers out there, the customers are just going, your service is supposed to be great. It's supposed to be great. But is it better than the competition? Most companies do not delineate that. If you do have things in your service capabilities that are superior to the competition, if they are hard to copy, then that's what you need to be talking about. Meaningful specifics. Don't talk in vague generalities. We have the best customer service is a vague generality. Okay. And then if the product is deemed to be the same as everybody else's, and if your customer service is not seen as superior to the competition, easily superior to the competition, then the only thing that separates you from the competition is price. Okay. And none of us want to fight in that game. We don't want to fight in the price game because that's just a race to the bottom. So what happens is that in my book Uncopyable, I talk about that a lot. And where does innovation fit into that? Well, innovation is your branding. That's what innovation is. Innovation is the promise that you are making to the marketplace that says to them, this is what we do, and this is why we are different from the competition. This is why you should choose us from the competition. And that's innovation. Innovation in our world is our branding message. Are we promising something to them that they can't get anywhere else? And then are we delivering it? Are we delivering it? And so in Uncopyable, I talk about one of the because one of the biggest problems we all have is that we keep studying the competition. We keep staring at the competition and seeing what they're doing, and then the competition comes up with some improvement, some improvement, and we go, oh, we can do that. In fact, we can do that improvement better. Then you do it better, and then they come back and they go, we can do that better too, and it becomes this vicious circle, right? So how do you separate yourself from the competition if everybody's just staring at each other and doing all the same crap as everybody else? Thanks, Jeff, about the. I just want to make sure I'm staying up to date on here. Mary in one of our favorite places on the planet, Sun River, Oregon. So the technique that I teach in chapter 4 of Uncopyable is called stealing genius. This is where you are able to steal ideas from alien organizations, people, companies who do not fit anywhere in your marketplace or with your world. So now, where did this come from? Let me back this up. Back in the late in the 60s, Greece. Pato, it's good to see you. All right. So, what time is it there? Tell us what time it is. Back in the 60s, okay, Chrysler had a car with a turntable in it. Now, for those of you that don't know what a turntable is, it used to play records. Records were these black things, these flat black things that you would put on, and you'd put a needle on, and that needle would read the bumps, in it, and go around in circles and translate that into sound and music. And everybody had turntables at home. Everybody had stereos and turntables at home, but you couldn't take them with you. You couldn't take them with you. They really, I mean, there were some portable, like little 45 portable stuff that you could take along with you, but they were crap. Terrible sound and stuff. And so Chrysler thought, well, let's see if we can put one in a car. No, it failed. It completely failed, because when you put one in a car, the needle doesn't work. It skips and skips and skips. Now there's a bigger story to that, and it's in here, okay, about the Chrysler attempt. But there was a guy in Detroit named Bill Lear, okay, who went on to become the guy who created Learjet. Learjets. He was an engineer at Motorola, and then he left to go start Learjet. And then he was a brilliant guy. He came up with all kinds of wild ideas. And he came up with the idea of taking music with you on the road, but not turntables. And so he needed help. And he went out looking for help, and he found this guy in Columbus, Indiana, named Ralph Miller, my dad. And together they sat down and they said, how can we take music with us in a car? How can we take music with us? Transport music. Okay. So again, full story is in here. All right. And they came up with the concept of the 8-track tape player and 8-track tapes. So fast forward, they need to manufacture this stuff. And they realize they cannot afford to manufacture this thing in the United States. So they first try to manufacture it in Mexico, in Nogales, Mexico, and that doesn't work. And then my dad says, hey, I think we can make this stuff at Panos, all right. It's 1820 there. All right. We don't have any idea what that means. So they came up with this idea that they would make it in Japan. But back in the 1960s, made in Japan, meant crap. Okay. So they went out looking for somebody to help. And my dad found this guy named W. Edwards Deming, who was consulting with companies like Toyota in Japan and teaching them about something called total quality management. And they hired him to come and help create a product and produce a product in Japan that the quality was good enough to sell in the United States to the consumer nation. And so here was my dad, Bill Lear, and Deming. And my dad thought it would be a lot of fun to take his teenage son with him on some of these road trips with these guys, which, of course, I was a teenage kid. I had no interest in hanging out with these three old farts, but he dragged me along anyway. One of the things that Deming he just talked about it all the time, was a thing called benchmarking. And benchmarking means to observe correct behavior and then emulate within your own context. And he said there were two kinds of benchmarking. All right. 620. 820, 1820. I don't know. I think you're lying to us. Anyway, he came up with the idea of benchmarking, but there were two kinds of benchmarking. The first and most common is what he called intrinsic benchmarking, which meant that we study our world. So, and it's basically the box that we are in. We are in a box with all of our competitors, all of our customers, all the other suppliers. Everybody in our in our world is in this box. So I know there's a lot of people on here that are in the manufacturing community. Okay, you're in a manufacturing box, and so in that box, you hang out with other people in manufacturing. You go to manufacturing trade shows. You read manufacturing blogs and magazines, and you get on chats and you join groups and all that sort of stuff. All your meetings are manufacturing. So you are going and you're getting all the same information that everybody else is getting. That's intrinsic benchmarking, because obviously you want to do that. Okay, but more important than that, if you want to innovate, then you need to step outside of your box and go into somebody else's box. If you're in the manufacturing world, you need to go into a retail box. You need to go into food box, go into medical, go into transportation, go into all these other different boxes that exist out there, and go see what they are doing, steal it, and bring it back. And that's what Stealing Genius is all about. Okay. And years later, after I've been around these guys, and Deming had talked about this enough, but it didn't mean anything to me. Oh, you guys are making fun of me now yeah, of course I don't know what 1820 is. It's military time, Brian. And it's not 1820 anymore. It's 1825 or 1826. Where was I? Oh, and then many years later, after I had gone through my wilderness years of playing golf and working in Hollywood and working in the copper mines of Arizona and stuff like that, I finally settled down and got into sales, got into marketing. And then I got into promoting golf tournaments and things like that as well. And through that, I met Jim Nordstrom, who at that time was president of Nordstrom department stores. And he and I got to talking, and we were meeting about creating a new golf tournament in Seattle, a professional senior tour event, which eventually came to be in Seattle, but it wasn't the one that we planned. But in the course of meeting with him, he one day he made a comment to me. He said, we might want to talk about having you help us with some of the stuff we're working on, right? And I said, I know nothing about retail. I know absolutely nothing. I'm a B2B guy. I have never done retail or anything like that. And he said, that's why we're thinking about working with you, is because you don't have the heuristics that we all have in the retail world. Okay, because this is how we see everything through retail eyes. He said, you don't have those eyes. So we want you to come in and teach us what you know about marketing and creating a customer experience and things like that. And then we will see if there's something that that nobody else in our industry is doing. And we will use that. And it was like a whack on the side of the head. I started thinking, gosh, that's Deming. That's Deming's extrinsic marketing, extrinsic benchmarking. Okay. And so right then and there, I knew, I struck gold, because now I understood how to separate my clients from the competition. We did it by Stealing Genius. We did it by going out and studying other industries, studying other examples. So like in the book, so this was chapter 4 in the book, and my publisher, God bless him, he said, hey, he said, I really like that Stealing Genius thing. And you know what? Most of my clients do. And some of you on here have been through Stealing Genius. You know Stealing Genius. Okay. You've lived it with me. But this forced me to absolutely break it down into what are ultimately became the 7 levels of adaptive innovation. So in other words, innovation where we go and we study and we see what other companies are doing, other people are doing, other organizations are doing, and we steal it and we adapt it to our world where it's brand new. That's what Stealing Genius is all about. Okay. Now, in reality, this could be used in almost any aspect of somebody's company. Now, because I'm a marketing and branding guy, and Kay is a salesperson, that's our focus, is helping to come up with new ideas, new ways to separate our companies, branding, all right, branding innovatively in ways that other companies either can't do or they don't want to do. And that's what is so amazing, is how often you can come up with ideas that you steal somewhere else from somewhere else, and that the competition just simply doesn't show any interest in copying or even making better or anything like that. So what you look for are those types of things that people can't do or won't do, compared to the competition. Now, let me give you. Let's talk about some examples of some of the things that I talk about in here. Okay, like one way to start, which I call the level one way to approach extrinsic benchmarking or stealing genius. The very simplest way to do it is to ask yourself, okay, what is it that we want to be better at? What is it we want to learn to do that nobody else will copy or want to copy? Okay. And, so, like, let's say, for example, okay, you want to be a better marketer. Okay. You want to be a better marketer. And so the question you ask yourself is, what companies or organizations do we know that are amazing marketers? They're amazing at this. Okay. And an example that is not in my book, I'm going to share with you. Okay. They are amazing marketers. Okay. And this is also part of stealing genius, is that you want to get to a point of awareness where your radar is up 24/7. So my radar, I've been doing this for years. So my radar is up 24/7 for new ideas. So let me tell you about an example that came in through the mail 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now, when you think of a circus, there are lots of different things that come to mind. Okay, and if you want, when you think of a circus, just type it in here. What do you think about when you think of a circus? I think of a couple of different things. I think of growing up with, say, the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus that would come to town maybe once a year. Of course, I grew up in Southern Indiana, small town Southern Indiana. So we would have to go either up to Indianapolis to go see the circus, or we would go down to Louisville to see the circus down there, because they would have a giant big top, and then they had all the animals and the elephants, and all that stuff. And around the outside they had some kind of little carnival and stuff with games and totally rigged games and all that. And you go into the three-ring circus, and they would have all the different entertainers, and that's what we saw. And then years later, somebody comes along and they steal genius by saying, well, what if it's when is a circus not a circus? Well, when it's none of those things. It's not in a big top. It's not in a and the acts are different. They're not the typical, there's the trapeze, there's the lion tamer, there are the clowns and all that sort of stuff that are pretty much standard in the box stuff across the board. And somebody comes up with Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil becomes, it's more of a performance, a play, that has a story behind it that starts from beginning to end. And in the story, they have really unique entertainers and performers. And where do they find these entertainers and performers? They don't find them at other circuses. They find them on the streets of Europe. They're buskers, and they're doing stuff on the streets to make money that way. And now Cirque du Soleil takes them and turns them into performers in Cirque du Soleil. And then it becomes this, world phenomena. And eventually circuses like Ringling Brothers, they go away because of the problem with the issue with animals and stuff. And they finally just basically go away. I don't know if they're even around anymore at all. Okay, so imagine my surprise when out of the blue I get a mailing, and the mailing includes this flyer. All right, see, it says this Jordan World Circus, bringing the fun back. Circus extravaganza. Come early and ride the rides and meet the circus stars. And it's going to be at the Puyallup Fairgrounds, okay, which is where the Washington State Fair is every year. No, I know. I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to imply that the circus is not in business. No, they are very much in business. Yeah. No, I'm talking about Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. I don't know if they're still in business. Thank you. Thank you for. I didn't mean to confuse that. So I'm looking at this, but you see, here's the thing: the mailing came in this envelope. All right, which it says circus. Free tickets and circus poster inside. I open it up. Here is the poster. All right, and it's it's printed on both sides. It's got the dates in Puyallup and possibly dates at another Southwest Washington Fairgrounds Center in Chehalis. And inside are 50 of these tickets. 50 of these tickets. Each ticket says admits one child free with one paid adult, 12 years and under, no exception. I think they're talking about the kids. No cash value, free pass. So, and again, and it says, come early, ride the rides, and stuff. Hurry. First 100 adults pay only $9.99. Now, the regular ticket would be $20. But there are 50 of these in this envelope with this. And it explains on one side of here, it says the extravaganza. From one business owner to another, please pass these tickets out as gifts to your employees, friends, family, and all the children. Also, please place them on your counter and post this mini poster in your business. Please display the other side in your window or on your bulletin board. Come join the fun. So they were coming to town. All right. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, are they doing radio advertising? Are they doing TV advertising? Are they doing newspaper advertising? Nope, not doing any of that stuff. This is their marketing. They're marketing through local businesses. Now, if you go to the Jordan World Circus website, it's thejordanworldcircus.com. If you go there, you will find out that it talks about not only where to buy tickets or where the circus is going to be and everything like that, but it also talks about that if you are a service organization, because it refers to, like it says, like they've worked with police organizations, fire departments, and schools and stuff, where they are hired as a fundraiser, okay, to come into town. And they tell you, they say, we do all of it. We do everything. We will do all of the marketing for you. And then we will come to town and we will put on this circus for you. Okay. So I bought a ticket. I went to the circus. Now because I wasn't prepared when Kay got sick. But I will be sharing this stuff, at other times. So I go to the circus down at Puyallup. I get there. There are no signs anywhere. Actually, I need to back up. So I go to buy tickets. I was going to go on over the weekend on Saturday, over Memorial Day weekend. I wanted to go on Saturday. They had, I think it was 3 performances on Saturday at 11 a.m., 3 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. I went. All 3 were sold out. All 3 were sold out. And then on Sunday, there were 2 performances at 1 and 5. 5 was sold out. 1 was not sold out. So I bought a ticket to the 1 o'clock. I go to the Puyallup Fairgrounds. There are no signs anywhere at the fairground, but you just pull in and you park and you follow the people. And the people went over to one of the arenas, where they might have a rodeo or something like that on the in an indoor rodeo. Okay. And they probably had seats it probably seated maybe 2,000, maybe 1,000 people. Okay. And I get there, and in the middle, in the 3 rings, there's 3 rings in there. They've got pony rides. Remember they said they had rides? Okay. They have pony rides in one ring. In another ring, they have a little, it's like a little choo-choo or something, going around in a circle. That's a ride. They have one of those inflatable things for kids to go play in. They have they had some guy who was dressed up like one of the Terminator guys standing in the middle of the center circle, and you could go get your picture taken with him. The kids could get their faces painted. You could get a picture taken with a live snake, stuff like that. This is the pre-show activities. These are the pre-show activities, and they had one spot for snacks and refreshment for popcorn, cotton candy, pizza, stuff like that. The line to that thing, I think at one time there were probably 200 or 300 people in line to go into there. By the time the performance started at 1:00, the entire arena was packed, 100% full. Okay, the performers were pretty good. They had some very entertaining performers. Most of them were not. I wouldn't say they were, the Cirque du Soleil level or anything like that. They were not bad. They had a handful of pretty darn good entertainers, but for the most part, I would say they were average entertainers. Okay, the crowd loved them. The crowd absolutely loved them, and the crowd was jammed with kids and their parents and stuff. And they sold a ton of snacks and cotton candy. They had toys that the kids could buy. These swords that lit up and stuff like that were $20, and they did all that. That is an example of something that you could study that and say, okay, how are they marketing themselves differently than most businesses would? And certainly most businesses in my industry. Now, maybe you can't do specifically what they're doing, all right, but just to study that and say, okay, what are they doing that is different from what you would normally have expected a circus to do? So it was just a fantastic example, and I'm going to be reaching out to these people to interview them, but I'm putting them on my list as that they are the circus coming to town. And man, if you look at their schedule, man, they are in a different city every day, and they're doing 2 or 3 performances every day, and they are bouncing all over the Pacific Northwest right now for the next several weeks. Amazing. So if somebody can put in the chat for me, because I don't have time to type, it's called it's thejordanworldcircus.com. Check them out. Okay, so that's an example of, okay, if I want to learn how to do some marketing, I'm going to go study other organizations in other industries. And, who would have thought you go study the circus world or the entertainment world, the traveling entertainment world or something like that. Maybe maybe there's something there. Traveling entertainment, how do they market themselves? How do they promote themselves? And what are some of the things that they do that we can steal and take back into our world? Now, another example that I want to share with you before we run out of time, and feel, hey, if you got questions or comments, jump in here, tell us what you're thinking. And this one kind of goes with a couple of the different levels, right? Number one, it could go with the level of I want to be a better marketer. Okay. Or it could go with, I've got one in there where I think it's level 3, where I say, okay, what person do you admire, and who would you study that you admire? Okay, and the example that I use in my book is Mary Kay Ash, and how Mary Kay Ash's idea of using the color pink to be a marketing tool for her was the impetus and the what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, the stimulus that helped me to pick out the color orange. If you guys want to know the story, I'll tell you quickly the story behind the color orange. When Kelly was little, I had been out, I was on the road speaking and stuff. I was in Dallas at the Anatole Hotel in Dallas speaking there. Big, huge hotel. And it could hold 2 major conventions because it was basically 2 buildings, with some kind of lobby in between or something, but the 2 buildings were big enough to hold their own conventions. And I was there for one convention, speaking at that convention. And in the other tower, Mary Kay was holding her annual Mary Kay convention. So I was very curious. Okay, what does that look like? And so I, took time to go over to see them and see how they, what did they do? Well, let me tell you something. And I've often said this joke now about the color orange. If I had been allergic to the color pink, I'd have been dead 10 feet into that building. It was unbelievable. These women that are very few men, obviously. These women, they're wearing these coats or jackets and sweaters and stuff like that, and they're covered with ribbons. I mean, of course, the jackets are pink. Everything is pink, and they're covered with ribbons of accomplishment. Not just you guys. We go to these. We go to trade shows or conventions, and we get these ribbons. I mean, we get our name tags, and then we get ribbons to attach down. Okay, and there's always a contest who admit it. Okay, these are huge ego things that who's got the most ribbons, not joke ribbons. Who's got the most legitimate ribbons? Okay, well at Mary Kay, it wasn't ribbons that you attach down. Each ribbon was by itself, and so they had ribbons coating the front, coating their back, down their sleeves, everything like that. It was unbelievable how that. So that was something worth stealing. But I stole the idea of using a color as a primary marketing and branding tool. And that was the impetus for me to come home. And I sat down and I put 5 different colors on the floor. Kelly was 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old at the time. And I said, Kelly, pick a color. And she picked orange. So I waited a few days. I took the colors, I shifted them around, put them down on the floor. I said, Kelly, pick a color. And she picked orange. That's how we became orange. Was that has nothing to do with schools. People love, people think there are a lot of different reasons for it. That's the answer. But anyway, so then you've also got the idea of, okay, one of the other levels is what I call flip the competition. And that is where you actually look at what everybody else is doing and look for ways to don't do it. You do the exact opposite of them. All right. And when Kay's and my book came out on May 17th, and when Uncopyable came out, Uncopyable very quickly climbed to the top of the new release list, the best-selling new releases. And that was really exciting, really fun. And of course, I'm thinking, hey, well, what is Stealing Genius? And what about Kay's book, Uncopyable Sales Secrets? How's that going to do? Because initially, that's really where you're looking, is in the new releases. And I go in there, and my book was number 3 on the new releases. Number 2 was a re-release. It's cheating. A re-release of Ken Blanchard's Raving Fans book. Kay is a friend of Ken's, and I told her to call him and get it off that new release book because it was, that Raving Fans came out years ago, but now by a re-release, maybe it was updated a little bit. I don't know. But number 2, why is he allowed to do that? And number 1 on the list was a guy I had no idea who this guy was, and I saw it and I thought, oh, this is interesting. Okay, and it was a book called Fans First by Jesse Cole. Jesse Cole, and I'm guessing A.A. Ron. I'm assuming you know who this is. This guy is the owner of the minor league baseball team, the Savannah Bananas, in Savannah, Georgia. And guess what? Guess what color he has chosen? Because bananas are yellow, and so he is yellow. And if you see, like here, I don't know if you can see this very well. There's a picture of him wearing a yellow tuxedo, and according to him, he has 7 yellow tuxedos. So I thought, this looks great. I love to read other books, right? I want to see what other people have to say about competition and innovation and marketing and stuff like that. So I bought the book and I've been reading through it. I'm buzzing through it. I'm only up to about page 89 right now, but I am going to contact this guy because I swear he had to have read Uncopyable. I'm sure he didn't. But he in here, he talks about that. And one of the things he talks about is look what the competition is doing and don't do it. So like, for example, and this, I think this is an amazing example, is that when you go to a Savannah Bananas baseball game, the price of your ticket to get in includes meals and refreshments, not alcohol, but it includes food, hot dogs. I don't know what else they have. Hot dogs. It includes popcorn. It includes all that stuff in the price of your admission. Okay, he has no corporate sponsorship ads anywhere visible in the park. Okay, because he doesn't want people to be staring at advertising while they're watching the game. Okay, they change the rules of the baseball games. They're not attached to some major league team, but the idea, and this kind of came out. I learned this years ago when we were doing some work with the Frisco Rough Rider AA baseball team down in Frisco, Texas, just outside of Dallas. And we went to that game. And one of the things that the president of the Frisco Rough Riders said to me when we first met was, he says, you got to understand, he says, I'm selling a product nobody likes. He says, the product's not very good because these are guys who are not in the major leagues yet. They're 2 steps away. They're level 2, AA. Okay. And if they are any good, they don't stay here very long. If they come up and after a few games, they're showing some pretty good promise, they're immediately promoted to AAA. And on rare occasion they jump to the top, to the majors. But he said they have to make the games fun for the families and everybody else. So and at Frisco Rough Riders, they had a swimming pool in the outfield, stuff like that, that everybody could go to. And I learned a lot watching those guys. But this is amazing, and I'm going to tell you. After you get Stealing Genius, get this book, okay? But he's got. I mean, look at this. Just the dog-eared part. I don't know if you can see it very well. There we go. You can see some of the tags in there. Great stuff. A lot of stuff that he says is what we teach in Uncopyable. Okay, he calls it creating an unforgettable experience. Okay. Obviously, I would call it creating an uncopyable experience, because an uncopyable experience, my definition of an uncopyable experience, it's an experience, a richly imprinted uncopyable experience wants to be repeated. It wants to be remembered, and it wants to be shared. Richly imprinted experience. Okay, so get his book. I'm going to reach out to this guy definitely, to interview him and talk to him, and I would love to set up a trip to go to Savannah and see those guys. I don't know, maybe see Aaron and the gang down there too. So but he's flipping the competition. He uses yellow. Everything is yellow. Everything you do is yellow. Bananas. Everything that they do, it has something to do with yellow, and he says, change the game, break the rules. I always say, don't just break the rules, create the rules. That's why I say, don't just get out of a box, build your own box. And that's what I'm talking about, where you build your own box and you write your own rules of competition that the competition can't or won't copy. So that's enough. That's enough for today. Yakking away. Oh, I know. You know what I'm going to do? Let's do a little fun thing here. I know Kay has this going for her book, but I don't know where it is. But when she comes on, we're going to do a BOGO, a buy one, get one. All right. And here's what I'm going to say. You go online and buy a copy of Stealing Genius. Okay. And then take a picture of yourself holding this. Okay. Send it to me, Steve Miller at theadventure.com. Let me see if I can. Oh, I can't post it in here. Steve Miller at theadventure.com, THEadventure.com. Okay, you send me a picture of you holding the book. And you know what? And even if you buy it on Kindle, I think they still, the cover is still there. You can hold it and, just get kind of a like that. Send that to me along with your mailing address. Okay. And I will send you a paperback copy of Uncopyable. Even if you've already got one, so what? You know what? You could tell me you already have one. Use it as a gift for someone. And give it to somebody that you love. Everybody that you love should have a copy of Uncopyable and later on of Stealing Genius. So go get it. Panos, sorry, I can't mail to you in Greece. But I'll send you a PDF. But anyway, so that's what I'd like to do. And I'm not seeing any questions or comments or anything like that. Are you guys still there? We will reschedule Kay for next week, probably about the same bat time, same bat channel. And we'll get her on. She's got some great stories to tell you about sales, how to get in the door. Like I was telling you about, that amazing story about getting in the door, how to overcome fear in selling, which is probably one of the number one problems salespeople have is overcoming fear. Also, she has this thing that she teaches calls about how to think like Sherlock Holmes as a salesperson, and that's pretty great too. So okay, so we are at almost 1 hour. And I think that's more than enough time for me here. I'm going to let you go and go get my book, take a picture, and I will send you a free copy of Uncopyable. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today. I appreciate you more than you know, and we hope Kay gets better really, really fast. And always remember, be uncopyable. Okay, this is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger, signing off. See ya next time.